Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the entertainment from the 573 podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. We are doing a movie pod. I was looking back, and it's been a while since we've had a movie pod on this feed. So we're right back at it, and we're talking about Superman. And I have Charles Jones on me. We were talking about how long it's been since both of us have done a movie pod together. It's been a while for us too. But man, Charles, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been a while. More like for us, maybe 5 or 6 years since the last time I think we did
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, and when you think about the 5 and 6 years that we had a pandemic in between all that,
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah. Yeah. That pandemic was definitely a year.
oh man, yeah, but yeah, it's been a while for us. So I know you and I we're really pumped to be doing this one. We are talking about Superman. So at this point we're taping it, it's late July. It's what, July 27th. So
Yeah.
the movie's been out for a little over a couple weeks now. So it kind of good leeway here to kind of dive into spoilers and all that fun stuff. We're coming off, and this is the weekend after Fantastic Four has been in theaters, so it's a good time to be if you're a fan of superhero stuff. It's a really good time to be a fan of that stuff and talk about it because I remember, Charles, I was looking back, and we had a short on the YouTube channel talking about these two movies specifically, talking about
Yeah.
the importance of these two and which one was more important. Um, these two are widely important, I think, for different reasons. Superman, it's the start off of a universe, but it's a guy that is literally the the, the godfather of superheroes, and to put it, like everything
Yeah.
derives from him. Fantastic Four, they've not gotten a movie right with these guys. That like
But
you can find the '05 one, '07 one. Like there's some fun stuff in there, but like as far as
yeah.
like I guess like you know in universe and like other stuff. They just weren't it. I'm not even going to mention the travesty that happened in 2015.
Yeah.
We're going to forget.
Yeah. There was one in 2015. I don't
Yeah.
remember that one.
Oh,
I'm just
it's the one
maybe
that nobody wants to talk
maybe
about.
maybe in the alternate universe, maybe they had Michael B. Jordan playing Johnny Storm. Instead of them being blood sisters, they're like half and half brothers and sisters. You never know. With Miles Teller's Reed Richards, that would be a good movie, huh?
Hey, in an alternate universe, that is a good movie. They find a way to make that movie work. No, but with them, it's just like, can we get a good movie right? Because there's a lot of different stuff you can say, like it's hard to kind of adapt, but with Superman specifically, I think this is one that you're starting a universe. It's a guy that is legitimately the big superhero of everybody, and not just in like strength, but also just like you know the guy that a lot of superheroes are derived from, whether powers or morals and like what it means to be a superhero. This was a big one to get right, and it's starting a whole new universe for DC. So it's like you had to kind of get the swing right. I kind of wanted to ask you, like, what were your kind of thoughts leading into this Superman, and like, kind of like, where were your thoughts going? Like, okay, we got a new Superman, new universe. We got James Gunn helming this one. You've seen the trailers; it's got all these different heroes. Like, what's your kind of feeling, leading up to the movie? Because for me, I know a couple others. Like, there's kind of like excitement, but like excitement along with a bit of anxiousness because like if this movie does not work, if this movie is not as good as it ended up being, then the DCU starts off in a not so great place. You have Superman um in this movie, not in a great place. So like kind of where were you at, heading into this movie?
Well, we knew DC as a whole it needed this because let's just face the Snyderverse era for all the concepts and some great ideas were derived from comics. That universe just was in one, it never felt complete.
Hmm.
Two, it has some very, very, we can look at the MCU and say, at least this phase of the MCU has not been the best. It has some very down years, but
Yeah.
we know for a fact, like DC has passed very, very down years. And looking back on it now, that was their first start to a cinematic universe, and it basically fell flat. Sure, they had some big blockbuster hits, but overall, looking at the tone of the DCEU, it's like they really sunk Warner Brothers as a whole. So this movie had, like we say, this since it was definitely gonna start a new universe, or essentially this is DC's MCU now. The big kickoff. This Superman was their Iron Man. It had to start a good footing for everything that James Gunn is going to do moving forward. Which I had no doubt that he would make a good movie because you probably read comment threads. It was like people like they were saying like the trailers and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and some people make fun of it, saying it's like Guardians of Superman, Guardians of Metropolis. They was like it's going to
Yeah.
be overstacked, overcrowded. We're not going to get enough Superman. Some people hate the comic bookiness of involving crypto, which I don't mind at all. It's so fun to see crypto in live action, but I felt like this really started off on a super high note. And I think today I was reading an article yesterday actually saying that Superman is already about to pass over 500 million in the
Mm.
box office today actually. It should definitely pass it today. Well, there's no question. I think the article said it should pass it by. I want to say it said at least it was actually for Friday. Yeah, it was saying that it should pass that article. I read the article Thursday. It was saying that by Friday, Superman will have amassed 500 million worldwide. So let's just say they really knocked it out the park. And the numbers still aren't done
Yeah.
as far as when the worldwide box office finally finished, but let's just say it made more than enough money to compensate.
Oh yeah. I was reading actually something today that kind of talked about like the impact that had on people wanting to go out and get comics, and just like I think that's one of the smart things, Gunn has done is kind of say like, hey, here's kind of where, it's not a complete one for one, but here's some comics that were inspired, that I was inspired by to pick, parts and make them into this universe of Superman stuff like All Star Superman, Superman Birthright, some Kingdom
Yeah,
Come elements, which just like how big the
yeah,
world is, a couple others, but it's just like from what that article kind of said, like a lot of people were starting to pick up comics and like really kind of wanting to get to know the source material a little bit more. So
yeah,
it feels like for the comic book world, I feel like that this has been a really big boost for them because it's getting people to go out to the stores and get these comics and just kind of get familiar as to like this character and like how Superman is in these books and like kind of see where that they pick parts from those books and put them into this movie. But like the whole James Gunn of it all, I think the style part I think is definitely a concern for a lot of people. Because I mean the Guardians that there's a distinct style with those films and I think like you said a lot of people were wondering and look at the trailers like this has a Guardians type of feel to Superman, but in the end I didn't feel that as much after watching the movie. Like there's definitely some elements
yeah.
of Guardians. Like I'm thinking back to specifically the Mr. Terrific fight that felt very Yondu from Guardians 2 esque, with where he's taking out everybody with the arrow. That definitely felt like that was kind of taken from that, it's just
But
with a different hero.
James Gunn, he just does a great job at making you feel the importance or make you understand
Right.
other characters. Like he's
Yeah.
good at fleshing out characters. So some people feel like he's good for multiple character movies, but he probably isn't good for just one singular character. But the way he incorporated everybody, the movie still feels solely like a Superman movie, in my opinion. It does. He just has a well-rounded supporting cast in it.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
that's in my opinion. Like,
yeah. Like you mentioned the character part. I think that was the thing I was never in doubt with James Gunn because you take a look at
yeah, his
Guardians.
track
Like,
record.
yeah.
Just in
Like
films, in films general, his track record, like you can go look at all the films he's directing and everything.
uh,
Like the
oh
man
yeah,
is literally a movie genius. Like he doesn't really have any misses.
like he knows characters. Like he got people to make feel bad about a tree
Lex.
dying at the end of Guardians 1. And like he had people that feel empathy for a talking raccoon. Like we're talking
Yeah,
about this
yeah,
guy, and
yeah,
so like I think when you're talking about like getting the characterization right, especially with dealing with Superman and like how do you connect to a character that has all these type of powers that is like a larger than life superhero. I think like peeling back the layers, diving into this character, and really diving into like the humanity of it all, which I think that was a key part with this. Like,
yeah.
how do you deal with Superman? You dive into his humanity, you dive into all
Yeah.
those different aspects. So I think without a doubt, Gunn, we knew that he was going to do an excellent job with the characters, and that was a key part he needed to do with Superman.
Yeah, oddly enough, you know how you say that because I was I watched the video. It's like basically that Henry Cavill Superman, the Man of Steel, he's basically been clipped and mean to eternity now for just like basically aura forming. Whereas with James Gunn Superman, he embodies what Superman is. Like test screeners, he was going to keep out the scene with him saving the squirrel because some of the audiences
Hmm.
at the test screen didn't even like that scene. Like they thought
Yeah,
it was corny or makes it more comic booky. Like he stops fighting a kaiju to go save an animal, but that's like you said, just his humanity. It's just his humanity, and like nothing is too big or too small for him to save. Whether it's a human life or an animal life, like that's just who he is. It goes to the point because it'd be like Cavill could have literally saved more people than he should, but some people's like there's always gonna realistic, there's gonna be losses, when this big battle's going on like that. But it's like just some of the stuff like one clip was, when a tanker goes into a gas station and probably kills how many people in that building. And we know for a fact it does because it's shown in, Batman versus Superman at the very beginning.
yeah,
He definitely could have stopped that from taking more lives, so then went back into the action. So I think Gunn definitely did a job of improvising that this Superman at least he literally tries to save everyone.
yeah,
He literally goes for it. But
yeah.
back to this point on, making the humanity, it's just like Snyder went for making his Superman a god. Like it was preached that his Superman was more of a god trying to fit in with the world, whereas Gunn's Superman is a god that has all the godly powers, but he wants to be a human first and show his human side.
Right.
So
Yeah.
clearly going for the humanity pose as opposed to him being this godly figure that people worship in a way. Because if you look at Man of Steel, Snyder he gave Superman this god complex. If you go
Hmm.
back and look through the movies, so James Gunn did a better job of pursuing Superman's humanity before anything.
Yeah. And like I think also just kind of like not to bring Marvel back into this, but like dealing with like how Spider-Man's got like all these powers and Peter Parker is just a normal guy, trying to get through the day, like like with relationships, paying rents, all that stuff. And so I do like how
Yeah,
like dive into the humane part of it, like with Superman, like just trying to like doing all these things, like the relationship he has with mom and pa, and like his relationship with Lois, and like how he's still like bumbling, fumbling, trying to get to work and all that stuff, and like it's just like all the different humanity type of parts that they brought into that. Like it definitely felt like you were connected to him, and like him trying to be human. He felt like one of us, just trying to make it throughout the day, and like that speech they had with Lex at the end, just like him like saying like, listen, I had all the same type of emotions that the humans have. Like I get scared, and like I'm just trying to make it throughout the day. But that's what makes me human, And so I think Gunn did excellent job, just like making sure like, hey, we're going to make sure we're going to have that be the key part here, because again, Superman has all these powers, all these amazing powers, but at the end of the day, he's still just a guy trying to make it through life, just making sure like his relationships with his friends go well, making sure his relationship with Lois goes well, and all that different stuff. And I think also just like how earnest this movie felt from Gunn, and just like going to do and doing that attempt, like doing a complete 180 from like what you said, what Snyder did with Henry Cavill, and so and just like how earnest this was, and like if you love this movie and if you're like, hey, listen, there's some stuff for Gunn that didn't necessarily work because it felt like there's one too many jokes, fine, but like you can tell he put a lot into this. He put a lot of heart, a lot of earnestness into like getting this character of Superman right. And I think also just like I do like the because it's completely different from what you and I've experienced with all these superhero movies. Just like normally with these types of movies, like with Iron Man 1, like before we know like there's any other superheroes around that at that time or been around, he's the first guy. He's the first superhero that we know of.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, I really like the Star Wars type of crawl there at the beginning that we get at the beginning of the movie, where it's like 300 years
It's yeah.
metahumans.
Thinking about it, it's just like for people because you like this Superman's been around for 80 plus years almost.
Yeah.
And everybody knows the origin story, where you know it through being a comic book reader or average comic book reader movie fan, or just in general, you'll know the references through pop culture. But it's like we don't see Superman rebooted throughout Warner Brothers and DC, so it's just like we don't need to see that origin story again. Just like for Batman, it's been done though. So them explaining the way to show us that we already going to a universe with metahumans. I think that was good, because some people says this feels like it should be a Superman sequel. I'm like, no, you actually set the movie up good, just like with Fantastic Four. Like like we've seen previous movies for the past 2 decades doing an origin story. Like we don't need that anymore. I like the way that they went it hashed it up quick for somebody that's new and getting introduced to the story. Like, hey, get an improv, show they got their powers, freak accident. Yeah. Hey, we don't have to spend the whole movie of them learning how to use them and stuff. We can go right into the threshold of whatever stories it's about to be told.
Right.
So I kind of appreciate that, and it just lets me know that we're in a cinematic universe.
Yeah.
And we just know there's going to be more to come. And like I say, he fleshed out these characters. Like I, for one, I knew of Mr. Terrific, but I just didn't know everything that Mr. Terrific does. So like this movie actually made me appreciate him, and it's like I want more of Mr. Terrific, man. Like, hey, I want to see some terrific movies, the comics. Like I think Mr. Terrific became a lot of people's favorite character throughout the movie.
Oh yeah, like he was in a way more than I think a lot of people thought he was going to be. And Eddie Gathecki, he did a great job. In fact, this is the funniest part. I didn't realize it till after.
You brought that dog, man.
Like I didn't think about it till like after the movie got done. But I was like, wait a second, Nicholas Hoult and Gathecki had been in a movie together. I was like, it was X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh wait, yeah, that's right. He was Darwin, and like they stupidly killed him off, and then you got Holt there as young Beast.
Like that. Speaking of that, not to go off topic, but like I seen so many videos and stuff that says like that did such a disservice to Darwin, because he literally adapts to everything in the comic. So
yeah,
that blast really shouldn't have killed him. He should have been able to adapt to that.
Yeah, but hey, listen, I think he's fine with it. With the way people have reacted to Mr. Terrific and how people really liked him. I'm just like, it all worked out in the end.
I guess it's forget Darwin though. That's Mr. Terrific.
Yeah. So like, I kind of forgot that hadn't happened before, but no, like he was in it way more than I thought. And honestly, going into the whole, this whole world is built up, and I think a lot of people are wondering, like, okay, how much screen time are these people going to have? It's like the whole, ensemble type of thing. I think they did a good job, with, having these characters. Like, they're not overtaking the film at all. Mr. Terrific,
not really, not at all.
Mr. Terrific was in way more than, Hawk Girl and Guy Gardner. So he honestly felt like another lead at times, but they did a really good job of like making sure, like, hey, this is a Superman movie, but we're going to, these are just the characters that are around. These are people that are around at this time. But again, I think just like saying it off right off the bat, like, hey, 300 years ago, you got metahumans showing up. I think that was honestly a smart decision by Gunn and just like saying and setting the stage of this universe. Say like, hey, here's where we're
Yeah.
at this point, in the past, here's where we're at this point with Superman. And then also kind of saying like 3 minutes ago, Superman lost his first battle. And, because I think that was another thing, just like watching the trailers are like, okay, how is Superman losing? I think it's a good thing to show like, hey, he lost his first fight 3 minutes ago. So like he hasn't been losing all this time. He's been doing work, but 3 minutes ago, this happened. So I think that was really smart by Gunn just to have all that at the beginning.
And what I think about is for the Snyder cultists or Cavill fans, they're complaining about Superman gets his butt kicked way too much in the movie. I'm like, he really doesn't. No one really challenges him besides himself. And spoiler alert, we know Ultraman was him. So the only person that really was giving him work throughout the movie was a clone of himself that was controlled by one of the most smartest masterminds in the world that had the upper hand on him because he's been studying him for years now.
Yeah. He's borderline obsessed with them.
yeah. And people, they just complain like he's whiny. They hate the suit. I'm like, first, he's not whiny at all. He's just human. He's literally, all of us can relate to everything he's going through. Yeah. Especially if you were in the same predicament as him. Of course, I wouldn't want to see anyone die. I don't care what my government doing. I'm not representing the government. In a way, well, I take it back. In a sense, he is, since he's coming from the U.S., but in a way, I'm not listening to my government. I'm going to stop wars or going to save people. I think any sane person with heart and morals would do the same thing. Despite who you're supposed to be representing or waiting on somebody to tell me what to go do. I'm an all-powerful being. I'm going to stop the evil and I'm going to save people. So, yeah. But back to my point, and just him getting beat up throughout the movie, I'm like, who really beats him up? Only time he's being beat up is when he's weakened. And then the whole movie, newsflash, he literally never gets back to 100%. He's only 83% throughout the movie. And I said the feats that he does in this movie, that's why I was asking, like, who do people think is who's the strongest Superman at the current moment? So you got a lot of Snyderverse fans. They look at this Superman as weak since he's getting beat up all the time. But James Gunn stated he didn't want this Superman to seem super OP, but I'm like, he only lost to himself. And even then, like, if you breed out the feats, he held off a kaiju with ease, no struggle at all. He'll build us up with ease, but those are like common Superman feats that he should be able to do. You expect. I say he swam in a river of antimatter, didn't die or get beaten up. Why are you still weakened? Because we saw Lex's guards. People seem to forget. They think that he got powered up, full power. When Metamorpho makes the artificial sun for him. Thing is that no one pays attention to guards for saying he was still weak. Let's hurry up and kill him. Why just being kryptonite poison? He literally takes on the engineer and Ultraman at the same time, giving them work. They get the upper hand, and he still flies up to the sun to gain energy. But not only that, he literally tanks all the hits from a stronger version of himself that's stated by Lex, because he's slightly stronger and they know all his moves. So he's taking hits from Ultraman while being held down by the engineer, and he drops both of them like it was nothing. And soon as Lex is not able to control, when Crypto destroys the drones that are sending out the voice messages or whatever to control Ultraman, he just wrecks them, which we already knew anyway. So I was like, this Superman is super strong, bro. And like, people are saying like they can't see him being Cavill Superman or even being the Kryptonians that he fought in Man of Steel. I'm like, dude, like Henry Cavill's Superman was just learning on the fly. This Superman has been at it for weeks. He'll definitely neutralize other Kryptonians. He holds back more than a lot too. Yeah. While he's fighting, because you think about it, he's literally fighting the engineer in both of them. He's trying to talk them down and different stuff. So he doesn't even wants to go to full extent to hurt somebody. So I mean, like, I really think this Superman is like one of the most strongest OP we've seen on film to date. Because he has a lot of crazy feats, but I guess you could get Cavill's the edge because we saw him fight Steppenwolf. We saw him fight other Kryptonians, but I
Yeah.
had a guy tell me, I had an army buddy, he was like, I didn't want to spoil enough for it, but he's like, I can't say the Superman strong. I haven't seen the movie, but he didn't fight Azad or any Kryptonians yet. In my head, I'm like, oh, he definitely fought a Kryptonian, a clone that was stated to be stronger than him.
Yeah.
That gave him his first L. So he definitely fought a Kryptonian and made work of one that wasn't controlled by another evil super genius and Lex Luthor. So I
Yeah.
like this Superman is this Superman really OP. But if this isn't enough to show you how strong he is, just know I'm guaranteeing these next maybe 7 to 10 years, anyways, he'll be wiping the dust with Cavill Superman. But like I say, he did some crazy feats in this movie and not even being 100%. So,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think one thing you mentioned it kind of like made it so not to the scene where Lois and Clark had that interview. Like I was reading something from Gunn saying like that was a huge risk too, just to have like a 10 to 12 minute scene of them talking in a superhero movie. I kind of want to talk about it because like there's a couple, a risk here. We talked about the whole squirrel thing and just I'm fine with that. Have him go save a squirrel. Squirrel didn't die today. Great. So, but I think two of the things that I think were a little bit riskier were probably that scene and also just like the change up in the message from Jarrell and Laura. Just like the. So I think. Which one do you want to tackle first?
We could definitely talk about the Jarrell message, but I didn't know they did storylines like that too. And mentioned I was watching a video about that because fans are outraged about that, but there's like, it's obviously been done throughout the comics and different storylines. But also, if you look at all the Superman movies, even Christopher Reeves, it was like they were, especially Man of Steel. He even says he'll be like a god to these people. He'll show them the way. So they already putting them up as a figure to rule over humans, anyways. That's from the original with Christopher Reeves, that iteration, as well as Man of Steel. So I was like, it's always kind of been incorporated, or you get that darker tone from it if you really looked into it. So I was like, it's always been there, but we look more so on now. This was more lighthearted, and who's to know if that still wasn't altered by the engineer in Lex? We'll find out later, or if they just want to go that route.
Yeah, I think initially when I saw it, I'm like, oh well, like they doctored it, like it's misinformation, it's like a play on to like the way sometimes media is in this world that we're in right now. Like there's a lot of misinformation. It's like, oh, okay, so it's like that.
Especially with AI, like people wouldn't know what to believe. If we did live in a world with a Superman, it would be scary.
Yeah,
but like a majority of consensus of people when they see this dude doing all this good, like around the world, like generally it would keep people hopeful. But a majority of people would see that this dude is an actual hero, actual hero on par. So I feel like even if we found out that's what the message was, everybody would be like, does he have a darker motive, or this guy isn't doing anything that he was supposed to be? We just know him as a friendly superhero.
Yeah, I think it's just also like people are just immediately are like questioning like, okay, does this guy have an ulterior motive? They're just like this guy. It's just like it doesn't resonate, or they don't come to terms with like, hey, this guy is being good just for the sake of being good and being kind and helping people when he's got the power to be able to help a lot of people around the world. I think that's something else I think Gunn is kind of talked about with this one, and just like just like being kind and just like helping out. But like I kind of thought it was kind of doctored, and then it's like, oh no, it's 100% real. And I can, even though it's a complete kind of different type of thing than what like comics and they've done with that message, it does make a little bit of sense here, like you said, like because like how powerful he is, like it would make sense. Like there would be a universe on where they're like, hey, listen, you have all this power, you go and rule,
repopulate our species. Repopulate our species. Like 9 times out of 10, you could possibly see it from a whole different alien race that know they'll assume they're superior to us in every way physically because of everything that they're able to do. But you can kind of see that, like, hey, go conquer the planet or
Mhm.
Show them that we run the universe, so to speak.
Yeah, I think so. I want to talk about that 10 minute to 12 minute talking scene because I mean, again, that's a long scene in a big blockbuster superhero movie that you're going to have. But I think it's very important, because you see where Lois and Clark are at in their relationship. Honestly, Lois doesn't know too much about Clark. Like when she goes, when they go to Smallville, like she's
Yeah,
learning all this stuff about him for the first time there, kind of sees where like, hey, where he grew up. And she's also like, hey, listen, you have a dog. And like, that's very real type of stuff, like in a relationship, it like, you might not know a whole lot about a person, but then you find that out like, oh, I didn't know you had a dog, stuff like that. So,
yeah.
but it's
Get
like,
to getting to know him.
yeah, yeah, it's like, it's just like all that little type of stuff. It again dives into more of that humanity type of stuff. But just like you learn where they're at, where they're coming from, and you get this very real type of thing with Lois and Clark. It's kind of like in inverse of what you saw in the Reese Superman, where like they had that interview where it's like, you know, Superman is not as calm as he was then. In he's really kind of get into like why he's doing what he's doing, and like Lois is like, hey, listen, sure, like I'm asking this stuff, regardless if I knew what you knew who you were or not. So it's like
Yeah,
I'm diving into this, because people need to know. I need to know, all that stuff, and just like you see, like how tense that gets really quick, and you had that little thing with Lois there at the end where it's like, I kind of figured like this would be like how things would go, if dating wise. So
yeah. This relationship won't work.
yeah, it's just like that type of thing. It's just like, okay, are they about to, is this about to, not to make a joke because there's a literal rift in this movie. It's like, is there a
Yeah,
rift? you know? Um,
I think another funny scene is after she goes to comfort him after crypto is Lex Curry is taking crypto, and they're sitting here having this most heartfelt speech, and I feel like this kind of stuff that throws people off of Guns movies because they can say the humor can be overplayed sometimes and stuff, and like
yeah,
I get it, I get that too, like I get that should be more of a moment where it was just straight talking. We shouldn't have to see the battle in the back, but it just goes to the humor to who likes it and who doesn't like the subtle touch. Like I get it, like Superman doesn't have to be out there helping. Clearly they could have used his help, but they were
yeah,
handling it, and obviously he must have felt that they could have helped it, or he would have obviously came and helped. So
yeah,
and but it's like just his humanity pierced through in that whole segment, him and Lois being there for each other. I quite enjoyed that scene. And once again, between the 10 and 12 minute scene, the interview that we got in this movie, I felt it didn't take away from the story in
no,
general. It wouldn't bore the audiences because it keeps you innovated and glued to the screen because that's like a real thing. Like you can see that actual interview and that interaction happening between them. So I felt like it was very well engaged in my opinion.
yeah. And I think it's something that Clark definitely needed to happen. Consider, like just doing all this stuff, but he's getting asking like, well, why are you doing it? You got all these foreign countries involved and all that stuff, and like, hey, like, yeah, sure, like this might be definitely going on 100%, and that is 100% what's going on. But it's like a lot of people don't know that, so it's like, why
Yeah,
are you doing this? Why are you helping this country? Um, so it definitely felt like it's an engaging scene that dives into these characters where they're at, together and also separately, in like where are they going now? How are they going to deal with the stuff like this that they're talking about later on in the movie? So it definitely felt like Gunn saying it is a big risk, and like I agree with them because it's a blockbuster summer movie with a titular character like Superman, and you're having that. I 100% see why it's a risk, but like it paid off because I think you needed that scene between those two, because we got a little bit of that in one of the trailers, but I think just having like all of it in context from like where that scene starts to where it ends, it's a one of the better scenes in the movie.
It was. It kept the movie going for me because, like, at no time, no point in the movie was I ever bored or just like, can we please go on with this?
Yeah.
Like I felt like the pacing at times, like I felt like it's slow and then it gradually just pick up and it keeps moving, it keeps moving. So it never truly, the pace never truly slows to a halt to where you're getting bored or like, okay, that's a scene we probably could have went without.
Yeah. And like, I think one thing, I was talking to a friend about this. You know, you needed, I think, all three of them to hit. You needed David Corn Sweat to hit as Superman, Rachel Brosnahan to hit as Lois Lane, and then Nicholas Hoult to hit as Lex Luthor. And it was
Oh
like,
yeah, did he hit it?
if even one of them is like not great at that, then I think it kind of messes everything up. And it just like that scene in particular with the both of them, that was really great. And then the Holt as Lex Luthor was great. Like I think I might have told you this. I've told a couple people like I've never seen a man that's been a more generational hater ever.
Man, what the biggest hater? He has temper tantrums like a little kid. He's just like he like you say, he's the biggest hater of Superman. Nobody hates him more. I found it funny when they broke into the fortress and he was like, Superman
Yeah.
gets the world's attention. Him and that silly smile. I was like, this dude just really a generational hater. But
Yeah.
I will say that one of the scenes that probably would get overlooked to the average person if they don't really pay attention to this Superman as a whole. One of the things that ruined Cavill's Man of Steel, one of the things was definitely the writing and the direction of that Superman. Because like Henry Cavill, he still has to look, and I believe he could have played a great Superman with the right direction behind it, with no studio influence and everything. But we always see him as brooding, and sure, there were moments where he sits and he contemplates about different stuff, like when Lex blows up the courtroom, and you see the emotion, like he's upset. Obviously, he couldn't
Yeah.
save everyone. Then you even see him helping out, but it's like we don't get to see that emotion from him like we do with Corn Sweat because when Mally gets killed, when Lex kills Mally, and you see Superman crying, you can't help but feel from it because he
Yeah.
couldn't save him, and you know how important Mally was to him.
Yeah.
And to the outside world, this guy was just a food vendor to serve them food. He was honored to serve them food. He literally
Yeah.
didn't want Superman to give up any information. He literally died for Superman. And
Mm-hmm.
seeing
Yep.
Superman shed that tear, that's what changed Metamorpho. Because obviously Metamorpho didn't agree with it, but seeing Superman cry over probably a mere human in their eyes, that's like he actually crying over this guy. It just makes you see the humanity, like you get so much more range and emotion with him. So how does that make
Exactly.
him a whiny or moody Superman when it's literally showing him as being raised as a human? Even though some people say, well, he's not a human, so you can't make him a human. Well, if the chances are, if an alien falls out the sky, gets rescued by a great family with good morals, and gets raised like any other human, even though he's not a human, you're raising him to be a human. Evidently, he'll pick up on traits. He can pick up on how to be a morally great person,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously, have emotions and range. So I feel like he connected to us more than Cavill's did by a landslide.
Yeah, 100%. I think with Cornswell in particular, I think there's probably a couple people that wondered, how good was he going to be as Superman? I he definitely he won. I think a lot of people over with how he was able to portray that type of humanity in Superman, and like you said, like this is a guy that hey, wants to do the right thing, and try to save people, make sure like they're all right, and try to protect, like whoever. Like he can be a human, it'd be a kid, or it can be like a mere squirrel, or something like that. So he did a great job, and like again,
Yeah,
all three did a great job. Like those three are big characters for Superman,
yeah.
that you had to get right.
Get
Like
right. You
I
had to get
honestly
right.
thought Lois, Rachel Brosnahan brought a lot to Lois. And I think just having Lois actually be along with the whole Daily Planet team, just like be journalists and like, hey, we're gonna figure this out and we're gonna expose Lex. I think that was really great. Like, hey, journalism works. Maybe this is just me because I come from the journalism field, maybe
Yeah,
maybe it's just because of that. But it's like I really appreciate that where they gave her like this thing to do where she is that hard hitting journalist that is going to do her best and dig deep to try to figure out, hey, what's going on, and we're going to report this and make sure this gets out and the world knows. Which I think I don't know if we had necessarily ever seen that from a Lois Lane type of performance in Superman movie or show, but I think doing that really kind of elevated her in this movie.
yeah. Like, she was a great second lead, and one of the best Loises we had, by far better than Amy Adams. But once again, like they only had to work with a certain amount back in the Snyderverse. Like it was a lot of a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? It was a lot of studio interference, and like I say, the direction and how they toned the characters and everything is just it just was really a recipe that wouldn't mold well with the comic book fans. Like you're trying to make a
Mm-hmm.
comic book, you're trying to basically make a comic book grounded, and comic books, let's face it, aren't grounded. So for people that were complaining about it's too comic booky, I'm like, what do you mean? It's literally a comic book movie. It's based off comic books. Like
Right,
it's a fantasy.
right.
Like why would you want it to be realistic or grounded? Sure, it can have some elements of that, but at the end of the day, it's a comic book, man. So
Yeah.
why are we penalizing it for feeling like a comic book movie?
Yeah, like listen, lean into it, like lean into it. It's in like you said, it's in the name. It's a comic book movie. Lean into all that fun, weird stuff that's from the comics. And Gunn definitely. Well, I mean, he will definitely do that. I mean, you just take a look at Guardians and Suicide Squad. Like he will
Yeah,
definitely lean into all those elements.
yeah.
And so I think the
You know,
fact that again he wasn't afraid to do that here, like lean into all that,
yeah.
man.
So I was watching like a clip, I guess a reel. It was a reel on reels from Instagram, and it's from one of the episodes of Justice League Unlimited. So Batman literally calls for his bat one of his bat helicopters or whatever. He flings
Mm-hmm.
a banger. He flings a batarang. He flings it at the top of it. It gets caught on there, and the ship, his bat ship, let's call it his bat ship, just flings him across the air. And people are in the comments like they're like, realistically though, how fast that was going. They was like Batman's arm would have been ripped off. I'm like, I seen another side coming that had me rolling when I saw it. Just like, so you're mad about it not being realistic, and you got this alien that flies and shoots super beams and superpower, and they're
Right.
in
Yeah.
a suit that and undies, and you won't ground the realism. Give me a break, man. It
Yeah.
just gave me a little chuckle, man.
And like you got and like in that scene in particular, like you got a guy dressing like a bat at night.
Yeah, like come on,
Like,
man.
yeah. But no,
Imagine,
yeah.
imagine actually seeing Batman in person. People would do more laughing than actually fearing him because they'd be like, "Look at this guy," until they realize he's the real deal. But like, if I
Yeah.
saw Batman, I look at it as like a guy in a costume. I really wouldn't even take him seriously until he shows me I got to take him serious. But I see
Yeah.
him like, what's this dude doing? It's not even Halloween. Like, what are you doing, bro?
What kind of problems do you have going on where you got to dress up like a bat? Yeah. No, again, you need those good performances from all three, and like leaning into the comic bookness of that this genre. It definitely did. It definitely did well, and
Yeah,
again, I don't know what else we can say about this movie. Just like this was, like you said, this was a fun time. It didn't feel like there was a dull moment. This was just a fun, raucous time. In which and we're at this point where the comic movies that they've been kind of slacking, for a
very.
better word.
Oh yeah, and they've been very on the downslide, but they make so much money in toy sales and stuff that they gotta keep making them, and they're big right now. The brand's still big, but honestly, I like this movie better than Man of Steel.
Yeah.
I really did. Like, I don't see how because people look at like the cinematic aspect of Man of Steel, and and obviously Snyder is like a genius when it comes to cinematic uh steals and everything throughout the movie. But also, this Superman had a lot of great cinematic feels to it and
Oh,
steals and scenes. Like I say, one of the most prominent ones is when he saves the building from falling on the car. So, the
yeah.
lady can get away, and then he just comes up through the smoke and the ash, and
And the
it's
score
just him
playing.
flying. It's just him flying in that score. I'm like, dude, look at that cinematic masterpiece right there.
Yeah.
Like we gotta give Snyder his credit too, but I was like, that's a cinematic masterpiece. There's so many there's more great shots in there to me too.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
I just feel like this was just a better movie in my opinion than Man of Steel.
yeah. And like I like the action piece there towards the end
Yeah,
where with the lasers with the laser eyes, just like
yeah. To me, all the action scenes were top tier, so I don't get why people are complaining about any CGI, everything. The action was golden to me. It was so golden, in my opinion. A lot of great action scenes. I will say one thing this movie has done for me is it has me optimistic and so ready for like what's next. I haven't felt this way since like the early MCU days. Like
mm,
what's coming next? Like,
eh,
bro,
li-
I can't
li-
wait. I can't wait for next year to see this. Like,
yeah,
I feel
like
like that kid again that's in that candy store. Like, I got that feeling of optimistic. Like, and
exactly.
this is DC. Like, I never felt this way about DC, but James Gunn has done it right there. I'm so excited and ready to see what's next in DC. It's
Yeah.
like I'm more excited about what's next in DC than I am for the MCU. Even though I
Yeah.
know Doomsday is coming, like
Like
legit, that's how I feel right now. Like
like
put it
this is
like
a
this,
phase
Rhino.
one. This is a phase one
Yeah,
Marvel movie.
but I guess an average person could say, well, it's the beginning of a universe. You're gonna feel like that because you don't know what's
Yeah.
coming next. Whereas MCU has been going on for 20 years. We get burnt out, tired of heroes, and there's nothing really new they can do. We're tired of storylines they're using. Like we kind of then we figure out what's coming next. Like the excitement ain't there. But then
Yeah.
again, I'm one of the ones, so I'm always excited for something new, and I know I'm gonna be excited for Doomsday, especially with that scene we got at the end of Fantastic Four. You know what I'm talking about when we get there. But
Oh yeah.
but yeah, like the DCU is out to a great start, and like I'm just like I'm so ready for Supergirl next year. I'm ready for Lanterns by far. I'm just ready for that show. I can't wait
Mm,
till we get that. Like I can't wait till we get that. I want to say next year, the very beginning of next year.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so Peacemaker, I'm not just the biggest Peacemaker fan, but I just haven't sat back and watched every episode. So like I'm gonna have to actually go back and watch both of those seasons.
Hmm. Yeah.
And
He showed
like
up in this one. He showed up in this. The surprise
yeah,
of
yeah,
everybody.
yeah. So like I say, I get into that. I haven't watched Creature Commandos. I guess I gotta watch Creature
I
Commandos.
know. I know when he showed up. I joked. I think with my sisters, like, why are they cheering? Like, I don't see anybody on the screen.
The theater was pumped. The theater I was in, everybody just like they went wild saying Peacemaker. I think I love for comic books, especially like I love being in the audiences that they just get it. Like it's moments you get up and clap, or it's just moments that
Right.
makes you as a fan.
Yeah.
Like like it's only been so surreal moments I've been involved in. Like I tell you one, seeing Daredevil appear in No Way Home. And
Yeah.
what makes it so
Mm.
bad, the theater had a nice little showing when I went, and I kind of went I probably went like that second weekend I got released, and I can remember like people. There's still so many people that probably haven't seen it because they were just as pumped. But I heard a couple just like, oh, then you got people like they don't even know what's going on because they probably haven't
Yeah.
watched the Daredevil series or in general. So it's kind of like bland. But
Yeah.
I look on the YouTube video, see audience reaction, they going crazy for Charlie Cox. I was like, dude, yeah, if you haven't watched the Daredevil Netflix series, you missed out on so much
Do it.
before saying No Way Home.
Like,
But
yeah.
yeah, it was an incredible audience experience. Even the second day that I went to see it, and all the lists love Superman. Like you could hear people on at like different parts in the movie. I even
Yeah.
heard somebody say, I even heard somebody was mad about the engineer covering crypto with the nanobytes. Somebody it was a little kid. They's like, no, don't do that to crypto. I was like, I was like, hey. And also crypto stole the show in a lot of scenes too.
Oh yeah, like him going Hulk to Lex Luthor's Loki in Avengers 1.
Yeah. Let's get ready to throw on the champagne. Uh, a champagne and Crypto just comes in and manhandles him. Lex is screaming for
Yeah.
dear life. I'm like, yeah.
Like, yeah, that dog does need to get trained, but I mean, listen, after what Lex was doing, like,
Uh,
you're fine with it.
Lex deserved it, but also that is Kara's dog. And you know how Kara came in at the last minute and crashed in, still drunk from being on the planets with the red sun.
Yeah,
I like her
I
Supergirl,
know.
Woman of Tomorrow.
I know there were some people that weren't like, like they were like, okay, fine, but it definitely kind of showed like, hey, here's kind of like a little bit of a feel of like what her movie's going to kind of be like. Because like, I mean, it's a completely different story than what we got with Superman, where she
Yeah.
was like, I just have a basic understanding of the character, just like, and I know they're doing the Woman of Tomorrow comic,
Hers would
but
be a
yeah.
yeah, but hers gonna be a little bit her story would be a little bit darker
Oh,
because
100
just like you
percent.
say, it take place after the comics, but people gotta realize she wasn't raised like Clark.
Yeah.
She saw
Yeah.
Krypton destroyed, so obviously her point of view would be very different from Clark because he obviously didn't get it. So I don't mind the Supergirl. I guess Melissa Benoist did enough of a great job, a good job, very good job in my opinion of portraying Supergirl that people just want to look at that sweet innocent Supergirl look. But like going out Supergirl, we're getting in Gunn's universe. I'm ready for it, and I'm happy for it. She looks the part. I think she's going to do great. I can't wait to see Lobo, Jason Momoa's Lobo.
Oh
That's going to
man.
be so fun,
Oh.
so
Oh man.
fun.
Yeah, I just feel like that we're gonna look at that as like, yeah, he fits the bill of Lobo more so than Aquaman, you know. But no, yeah, it's gonna be. I'm really excited about where this universe is going. I'm excited about it, like, and I think as somebody that that wants both to succeed and hadn't seen DC had that success, it's exciting to finally be able to say that we're excited to see what's next coming up with DC and what's
Oh
coming up
yeah,
down the pipeline. Because like you
like
mentioned, they got Lanterns coming out, Supergirl. You got all this other
we're getting
stuff like
Clayface. We're getting a Clayface
Clayface.
film that's going to be rated R, so it's not going to be just super kid friendly. Like it'd be more realistic. But I feel like for certain villains and superheroes, like the tone of the movies have definitely got to be different. Whereas
Yeah,
Snyderverse, the whole tone was the same throughout for every hero, and that
yeah,
that's just a recipe for disaster. Because every hero has a different tone. Like a Batman movie, I expect it to be dark. There can be very lighthearted moments throughout the movie, but like I'm expecting a Batman movie to just be a little bit more serious and darker.
yeah,
Because it's Batman. Wonder Woman, in my opinion, should have the same feel as Superman, though. And obviously,
yeah, yeah,
when they get the Justice League, we know James Gunn is going to be a master at meshing all these different characters and their tones together, where they'll still feel like they're selves, but if it have to get darker, it won't be a variation of difference between them. We won't be like that's very out of character for them or something we're not used to. He does very good at like meshing characters.
yeah. Again, you just got to go back and watch Guardians. It's like, okay, yeah, this guy's got the juice. He knows what he's doing. There's a reason why he's running
Big
this
Uncle Juice.
universe.
Oh yeah, the Kevin Feige at DC,
Oh man,
and we're here
please.
for
Yeah. So I don't know what else is there to talk about this movie, man. I think we've kind of touched on all the different type of things, but I think it's just like it's safe to say, like, listen, man, we had a lot of fun with this, and that's what you want to
it.
go into with a movie in general. Is you want to have fun, and especially a comic movie, you want to have fun. And definitely, this was like again, just like top tier fun, just super enjoyable. And it's Superman. You need to get a character
Yeah,
like Superman right again, and Gunn got him right.
that too. And all the older fans that know and love Superman, especially if they're a fan of Christopher Reeve. I like if you're a big fan of Christopher Reeve, which a lot of people are. That's their prototypical Superman hybrid. I feel they should have definitely loved Corn Sweat, even though we got to see his Clark Kent for maybe like 5 minutes of the movie. He wasn't a lot of Clark Kent. I'm pretty sure they'll make up for that in future movies and different stuff. But yeah, like this movie was honestly it's about an 8 or 10 for me. Really, I'd say a 9 or 10. And then
Yeah.
I say one more thing that I love for sure throughout the whole movie is like the score. Because I'm a guy that loves listening to like not movie soundtrack, but like their original soundtrack, like the scores, and
Mm-hmm.
that score was
Yeah.
phenomenal. I love the Last Son. Like that's like my favorite score throughout the whole movie. And you hear that play like when he first enters the Quantum of Solace. I say Quantum of Solace like 007. I mean can't even think I can't even think of the name
Fortress of
of his
Solitude.
yeah, it's Fortress of Solitude. What am I on, man? Do I need some water? But yeah, his Fortress, yeah. But yeah, like the score was amazing for me. I love the score.
Yeah, I do too. Like just the different variations of John Williams' 78 score. Like the track you mentioned, I love that one. Like you said, kind of the opening of the movie.
It
Um,
it sounded uplifted and hopeful, and then it had like a sadness to it. I don't know if you listened to the Last Son, but like if you get a chance, just type, just go listen to Superman Last Son, listen to that score. I'm like I say, man, that sound bite. I loved it for like the entire movie.
yeah, yeah, man. This was a this movie was a treat, and again, to talk about it was a treat, man. Again, like we said, it's been a while for us, so if we sound a little bit rusty, sorry about that. But we're trying we're knocking the rust off a little bit here. But
Working through the kinks.
yeah, we're trying to get it figured out. But Charles, man, this is fun as always. Like it's super fun to talk about. This
Yeah,
this movie, this super super fun movie. But
Superman.
yes, this was just a whole lot of fun to talk about. I've been itching to talk about it and going in depth for a while, so I'm glad we got the opportunity to really kind of dive deep in here and talk about the movie and the themes of it. So it's a little bit of a departure because we've been talking hoops a whole lot on the Views
Yeah,
pod. So
yeah.
it's nice to talk about talk about the movies and talk about a guy that is the godfather of superheroes, and talk about him making a big splash on coming back on the big screen after so long.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So
Definitely.
yeah,
Yo,
so
I was gonna say before we move on, could I go use the restroom right quick right now? We got a
hey,
split second.
hey, we're about to I'm about to do the outro, so we're about to wrap up. So
Okay, okay. I think I got you.
so yeah, man, thanks again for coming on. And I'm excited to to talk more movies about more movies where like we got Fantastic Four, of course, and like we got other stuff coming down the pipeline. But yeah, man, this was fun as always, man. It's nice to talk some other hoops for a change. Like I enjoy talking hoops, but now we got the
Yeah.
movie side to get back in the swing of things.
We gotta do more movies pods. It's like
Man,
because like say we didn't do the last one. I want to say 2019 to 2020, so it's definitely time.
it definitely is. So everybody, that's going to do it for this edition of the Entertainment from 573. Check back in like a couple weeks or so, because Peter Lewis and I, we're going to be doing a little bit more talk about Superman, get his thoughts, and we're going to be talking about Fantastic Four. I'm really excited to talk about Fantastic Four as well. That one was an absolute treat as well. So no spoilers from me here, at least for now. But I won't try to spoil it like I've done a couple of things in the past. Longtime listeners will know what that is.
Hey,
But
I want in on the Fantastic Four pod though, because we definitely got to talk about that one.
Hey man, we might have to just do 2 pots for both Fantastic Four and Superman. Listen, it kind of like, I don't want to say we're back too soon yet, but we're back. I think.
For Marvel, you can say that. DC, let's not say we're back because they weren't ever. It wasn't like they were ever there. Sure, the Batman movies, some of the Batman movies and some of the Superman movies did justice, but as far as the cinematic universe now, let's just say we're beginning.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
We're getting there.
I guess as far as the comic book genre, the comic book movie genre, I guess we're getting back to like, okay, this thing. we're getting these things rolling. Like they're starting to get good again. So yeah, everybody, we might have to do just two Fantastic Four and two Superman pods. We might just have to do it. It was like, well, that's a little bit of an overload.
Yeah.
Like, no, it isn't. We did two pods on the Rise of Skywalker, and those went super long. So, like, hey, listen, might as well do it. So, everybody, again, thank you so much for tuning in. Check out the Views pod. We got a lot of fun stuff with the football season coming up. Check out this feed as well because you're going to be seeing those Superman and Fantastic Four pods down the pipeline. So be on the lookout for those. So, till then, everybody, take care. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk to you guys soon.